Welcome to this week's edition of Stock Breakthroughs. I'm your host, Erin Beal. As gas prices hover above $3 and are expected to shoot even higher through the summer, talk on the street has once again turned to renewable energy alternatives. Here with me today to discuss her favorite topic of renewable energy is Sara Nunnally, editor of Material Profits and Material Profits Wildcatter. Now, last year, Sara broke the story on Samso, a tiny island off the coast of Denmark that has achieved an amazing feat. This island has succeeded in becoming completely energy independent, and it gets its power through a combination of wind power, solar power, and other renewable energy sources. Since Sara's coverage of Samso, she has developed a passion for learning about alternative energy, and she has made her readers very nice profits along the way. Welcome to Stock Breakthroughs, Sara.
Thank you, Erin.
Sara, today let's get started. Can you tell me briefly what the latest trends in renewable energy are?
Sure. One of the hottest segments in the alternative energy market right now is solar power. And many people would actually be surprised to know that Silicon Valley is leading the charge in this arena. We normally associate Silicon Valley with the infamous .com tech boom of the late 90s, but now it's jumping into alternative energy, and namely solar power. The New York Times even said recently that the Silicon Valley's .com era may be giving away to the Wattcom era. So let me monetize that for you, though. Silicon Valley's solar energy arena has tipped from a cottage type industry to a global market that will reach about $40 billion in 3 years.
Wow, that's certainly an interesting shift for Silicon Valley. But now we all remember, Sara, that a big part of the original success of Silicon Valley was all the venture capital money it was attracting. So are we seeing any VC interest now?
Absolutely. The world's smartest investors are literally piling into renewable energy. Now, these are the top 1% of all investors, the same venture capitalists who changed the world by getting in early on the internet, computers, and software. And today they're using that very same know-how to transform the global market for energy. Now, I know you're certainly familiar with some of the companies they financed. Vinod Khosla is the money man behind Google, Genentech, and Sun Microsystems, and his net worth is reported to be at about $1 billion. So far he's invested in 26 renewable energy companies. Another one, John Doerr, made his first billion with early investments in companies like Netscape or Amazon and Google, and now he's set aside $100 million for his green tech technologies, in addition to the $50 million he's already invested in renewable energy. And that man even told the Associated Press that solar energy is the mother of all markets.
But Sara, has the solar energy market reached its saturation here? It's all over the news. Do you think there's still any upside left? And if so, what else is going to drive the market?
We're not even close to saturation, Erin. These companies are IPOing all over the world, and they're helping to open up new markets. Venture capitalists are pumping hundreds of millions of dollars into Silicon Valley solar startups, and 3 of the most successful tech IPOs recently were solar energy companies, including the Valley's own SunPower. Now, that gives first-move investors huge gains in the solar energy industry.
All right, I'm sorry, let me interrupt for 1 second, Sara. Silicon Valley startups, IPOs, many of us got burned by some of these fly-by-night companies out of Silicon Valley during the tech boom. So what kind of IPO track record are we talking about for these companies, and how do we know that they're safer this time around?
Well, that's a good question. In short, these are very different. We're talking about a tangible need that these companies are fulfilling. They have tangible products that are already used around the world, and demand for those products is growing at an unprecedented rate. And you can physically see how that demand has affected these companies. SunPower made its debut in November of 2005, and since then the stock has soared more than 120%. And by the way, that company received funding from a man named T.J. Rogers, the CEO of Cypress Semiconductor in Silicon Valley. Another solar energy company, First Solar, went public in November of 2006. That stock has since skyrocketed 181%. Trina Solar, the newest solar energy company out of China, hit the New York Stock Exchange last December. And first-move investors who got in at that point are sitting on a gain of 185%. Now, I think that's a pretty impressive track record.
Oh, it certainly is. So Sara, which companies do you think look good? With all of these new IPOs, how are you deciding which are the best bets for your investors right now and for your readers?
Well, here's how I look at the industry. Imagine getting in on First Solar, SunPower, and Trina Solar for pennies on the dollar. That's what you have to look for right now. Instead of having bought First Solar when it went public at $24.50, you'd pay only $1.56. That's a discount of 84%. Now, SunPower and Trina Solar went public at $28. What if you got in at $1.56 for a another discount of 82%. Now, a company I'm looking at has all the potential of these 3 successful IPOs, but first move investors would be paying less than 0.1% per share.
Well, wow, that sounds intriguing. So tell me, what kind of outlook does this company have in the near term? What kind of numbers are we looking at here?
Well, if I had to use one word to describe this company's outlook, it would be solid. This company is on track to add $75 million in revenue this year. The company doubled its assembly line capacity to satisfy new orders from places like Spain, Malaysia, Turkey, and South Africa. And delivery has already started for some of these areas. And that promises to boost revenues this quarter. It's also received commitments for $7.5 million in sales from a major energy company in India, another $8 million in revenue from a pipeline agreement with a Shanghai company, and a $9.2 million sale has been made to a different company in China with shipments expected this year. Now, what does that add up to fiscally for the company? Well, one analyst reports forecasted earnings growth from $60 million this year to $175 million to $420 million to $720 million by 2010. That means over the next 3 years, earnings could surge more than 1,100%.
Wow, that sounds almost unbelievable, but given the track record of these other companies, it looks like it's a possibility. So Sarah, tell us the ticker symbol.
Well, unfortunately, I can't, because this is a very small company with a market cap of just about $112 million. So if all of your viewers rushed out today and bought shares, that would artificially inflate the price, and we don't necessarily want to do that. And because of that, I'm only releasing it to my Material Profit Wildcatter readers, and I limit the membership to this group to ensure that we don't inflate the price and that they get the absolute best speculative plays without pushing the volume up.
Well, that's disappointing, but I can certainly understand that. But I still want to learn more. So how can myself and our viewers qualify to join your Wildcatter service?
Well, come visit me online at materialprofitswildcatter.com, and I have a brand new invitation right there on the website.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us today, Sarah. We'll certainly look forward to hearing back from you soon with more of your thoughts on the booming alternative energy market. Maybe you can tell us more about that company later on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for this week's edition of Stock Breakthroughs. I'm Erin Beal, and I'll see you back here next week.